Ma tovu manayim hine, ma tovu manayim sheves achim gam yochad. Hine ma tovu manayim, hine ma tovu manayim sheves achim gam yochad. How beautiful it is when Jews join together as one, as friends, as comrades, with love and with heart. Here by Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai in Tiberia, it's about 3 a.m. and it's all quiet and it's all beautiful. And I wanted to teach you over some Torahs. I wanted to teach you over some philosophy about Rosh Zalman of Ladi, the Baal HaTanya. And let's just take it back. Let's forget Lubavitch today and let's go back to the time of Baal HaTanya. Let's go back when it was just him, a young prodigy in the world of Hasidus, before controversy against the Hasidic movement, before he was in jail, before all the self-sacrifice. He was a young man who sat at the tish of the Chos of Lublin. He sat next to Rav Moshe of Lelov. I believe it was Rav David of Lelov. He sat next to the Holy Yiddish Chodesh, the Holy Master, who already by the age of 12 was a great Talmudist and understood, who learned by the Holy Maggid of Mezritz, from the Talmidim Hamuvak, from the Holy Maggid. And the Maggid saw this, and he entrusted his son, the Holy Malach, Roshom Shachna, and entrusted his generations to be taught by Rosh Zalman. Why? Because Rosh had energy. He had an energy about him that he knew he could impare upon his child and upon the future generations, and that he did. And that he did. And let's put away all the books and opinions, and let me just tell you a little bit from my heart what it means to learn the Tanya, what it means to draw from the Baal HaTanya. Chachma Bina Das. You hear this constantly. This stands for the Chabad movement. And what does this mean to all the Jews of the world? Well, here was a tzaddik that understood that a person has to serve Hashem intellectually. Can't just be for emotions alone, and maybe not even yira alone. It can't be through ahava. It has to be a little bit of an understanding. That understanding has to talk to the heart, and there has to be some connection between reason and emotion. And he put them all together, and he formed the Tanya. And the Tanya is a sefer, a book about the Vekas, about wanting to yearn for Hashem. But what does the Tanya mean to someone like Rav Moshe, who isn't a Chabadnik? But again, I don't want to say I'm not a Chabadnik. Like I say, every week I tell my friends, my students, when I learn the Torah, I'm a student of that tzaddik. When I speak about something, I feel like I'm sitting there in the court of the holy Rosh Zalman. So to not say I'm a student, I don't want to say that either. And I've learned the Tanya before, and to grasp it, a person can learn about the Benoni, they can learn about the simple man, and how a person has to look at themselves in a low way, and they can learn different sections of Tanya about Shuvah, and different sections, but only when they grasp it as a whole, they understand what the Baal HaTanya is trying to do. Baal HaTanya was taking a person of flesh and blood, and he was turning him into a soldier in the army of Hashem, that he should not look at the goof, not look at the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, as in a way of fear, in a way of weakness, but rather in a way of strength. He took these Hasidim, these followers, and he made them strong through the idea, which was what I got out of the Tanya. I don't know what you got. Maybe you didn't learn it yet because you're not open-minded to learn it, but you should know that all the great tzaddikim, all the Hasidic Rebbes, the masters in the Litvish world, they all learned Tanya. My Rav, when I was in America, was a Litvisher. He learned Tanya every day with a Chabadnik, with a holy tzaddik, because he understood you have to grasp, to understand the Torah properly, you have to grasp from this person, from that, from different nets, and from so you can go and catch different type of fish. You can have a menu of Torah, and a menu, and be broad-minded enough to give, to probably give to the world. You have to have a real understanding. You have to have chachma b'yadas. And so they added to the repertoire. And so what I got out of the Tanya was the idea not to fear the Yetzer Hara, and to approach life with strength. Approach my views of what it means to go and every day serve Hashem, but to do it with an uprightness, and not to give in to the flesh and the blood, and not to have fear of the evil inclination, but rather to understand that a person can arise above it for reason, understanding, and knowledge. Chachma b'in das. And this is what I got out of the Tanya. And so, putting all the politics aside, all that stuff aside, one of the great tzaddikim of this last century was the Lubavitch Rebbe, or Menachem Mendel, Schneerson. And so, what did he give to the people? What did he give to the world? He gave to the world. He took normal people and he made them into soldiers. And he told them, look, you are soldier number 1, and you're going to go over there, and you're going to watch that area and protect my children, protect the Jewish people. Then he took soldier number 2, and put him in that area. And then he took, let's let the bus go by, and he took soldier number 3, and he put him over there, number 4 over there. He sent this one to that country, and that one to that country. And the timing was amazing, how people would meet each other. He would send someone to the middle of Hungary where there wasn't any Jews, and he said, you go to this place, and he doesn't know why he's there, and suddenly someone would come out of an elevator, and he would recognize a Jewish person. He'd say, I don't believe it. How did you come here? And he said, the Rebbe sent me. He says, you know the Rebbe. So he had tremendous Ruach HaKodesh and insight. But how did he have the insight, as I teach in many of my stories and my teachings? Because a person has love for the Jewish people, love for other Jews, and he sees the good in them. He's able to have spiritual insight, Ruach HaKodesh, and the Rebbe had that. But let's just put that aside again for a minute, and we're taking Chassidus back here. Forget the last 7-8 years. Let's just take it back when the Rebbe was alive and with us. So what was his main teachings, and what did he give to this century? So my friends, I now turn the camera to the grave of the Shlah Kodesh. And so, the Lubavitch Rebbe had given to this generation hope and belief in the One Hashem. He helped to start the Baal Tshuva movement, the movement of awakening the Jewish people. And his main teachings, which are somewhat, I guess, overshadowed by the political problems today, was the idea that every person should learn something that would enable and bring upon the Mashiach. And a person, we know there are 13 principles that we're supposed to have of our faith. And one of them is to remember the idea of Mashiach every day. This is a principle in Judaism, something a person has to do, has to remember about redemption. When we were in Egypt, you think for one day we didn't think about redemption. So here we are in Golis. Sometimes we're driving our Camry, and we're forgetting about Mashiach. So he had told us, if you want to remember Mashiach, you want to bring Mashiach closer, you have to learn Hilchos Beis HaBechira from the Rambam, who's just right around the corner. I wanted to continue it over there, but it's pitch black. For a $20 donation, actually $40 donation, will have lights. So I could have done it by the Rambam. And then he taught us to learn Hilchos Malachim. Hilchos Malachim about the kings. And if you learn these things, if you learn about the Beis HaMikdash, and you prepare yourself in this way, Mashiach will come closer. To spread the knowledge in these times. And this was very important teaching, because generally people were not learning about the books that dealt with the Messianic times. So in order to bring ourselves into the Messianic generation and era, we had to go and begin to learn these books. And I learned these books. And you should learn these books too as well. So this is the main thing, putting aside all the kiruv and outreach, one of the great things that he gave us is he brought us into Messianic era through bringing us back in preparation. Once we are prepared for Mashiach in our minds, in our knowledge, then Mashiach can be hastened and come more quickly. And this was something very great. So we have the Baal HaTanya, and between him and Rebbe Nachman Menzel Shirson, we had a whole bunch of in-betweens and tzaddikim. But here we are today, and we have to take ourselves back, away from the politics, and remember the greatness of this tzaddik, Rebbe Nachman Shirson, who was given tremendous kavod and respect throughout the Jewish world for his teachings, which, in my opinion, are now blocked by fog lights by some of the Hasidim who've maybe got themselves a little bit too energized in the Messianic era. We've got to take it back down, and we have to spread the teachings, the love, and the greatness of this holy tzaddik, and the holy life from the Baal HaTanya, who gave us a masterpiece of understanding our soul. He teaches us about the nefesh, the ruach, neshama, chaya, yechida. He teaches us in a way of understanding the whole soul structure and understanding how to have a devekis, a happiness in our life, and to give to the Jewish nation. May Hashem help us to be strong and to always remember the Chassidus of old. Because without remembering the Chassidus of old, without taking it back, understanding that Rishner Zalman sat with the great masters and was a young prodigy, without understanding that he sat with the Maggid of Medrash, without understanding that the Baal Shem Tov picked the Maggid of Medrash because he understood that he had the das to spread the Torah for the world. He had greater rabbis. Rabbi Yaakov Yosef was greater in wisdom, but he picked the Maggid, and the Maggid in a certain way picked Rishner Zalman to lead a certain direction of Chassidus. And from the Maggid came many, many Chassiduses. And each one was very important. And each one gave us a pathway to come close to Hashem. And when you're taking a pathway, you have to remember that you're not always racing the guy next to you. But he's also important, his path is important, the next one's path is important. And with respect, with Achdus, which is what Lubavitch was founded on, with that, with the open-mindedness of every Chabad person picking up Sfarim, books, from all the Chassiduses, and from people of all worlds being open to learn, to respect, and to grow together, then we continue on the holy tradition from these masters. The Shalach Kodesh was a master of chinuch, of teaching the Holy Torah. Yochanan ben Zakkai over here, and the Talmidim, Rav Ami, Asi, what a holy place.